Thought it was a really good first day for our guys. I think every coach in the nation knows you're going to have energy and enthusiasm day one. I haven't been around a team that didn't have that. What I was looking for from our team is execution. We've had a lot of spring practices, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of prep time to get it right. I thought our guys got it right today. It got a little quieter towards the end of practice where guys were getting gassed. Have to continue to work on getting in football shape, but outside of that, I was really pleased with the guys. Can open it up.
Days like today where the culture of the program maybe shows up in terms of the older guys getting the younger guys kind of right and things like that?
I think every day, every day it shows up. But certainly, day one, this is where you start to see who's going to be the vocal leader, who's going to, when they're gassed, where's that show up? But I thought it did. I thought it showed up today.
Tez said that he was challenging Evan in the spring to be a more vocal leader. Have you seen that this offseason and today in practice?
I think it's a little early for that. We got to go watch the film. I think there's multiple guys on our team that could have, a bigger role from a vocal leadership standpoint. But, that comes with performance too. And this is day one. We don't have pads on yet, so there's still a lot to be seen.
What's the checklist of day one? What did you want to get accomplished?
Well, just that, kind of what I expressed. I think we're going to bring great effort, enthusiasm. Now we got to go in here and coach the technique that we saw. But I wanted to make sure we're not walking out here and running 15 defenses that we can't run, that we bust every time, or 15 plays on offense that don't work because we're not running the right route, we're not blocking the proper guy. And I didn't see that today. I saw guys execute at a high level, which is the expectation.
What does Derek Harmon bring to your defensive line group?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
What does Derek Harmon bring to your defensive line group?
Yeah, Derek brings great experience. He's an explosive player. I've been really impressed with how quickly he's picked up what we do and how well he's able to execute that. He's been a good veteran presence for that group. And having some other guys in there that, are veterans, whether it's Keon or, some of the other guys, Amari's coming back with more experience in year two, Michael Gardner, and then combining that with Jamari, I think, that's a really good mix of players that can help us.
In that same train of thought, just what is it like having Patrick back, and what does he bring to that tight end room? And maybe just 6 years in general.
Yeah, Patrick is steady Eddie. Pat, every day he comes out here to work, humble attitude, has a goal for himself to improve, but he's a team player first, and he's always coaching. It's the thing you'll notice about Pat is if he's not in the drill and there's somebody else going, when they come off, he's giving them a coaching point. He's giving them a directive of how they can improve, which is really impressive.
What was the recruiting process like with Harmon? If he comes visit his first time, don't get him, just stay persistent.
Yeah, I can't speak to his feelings or what that looked like other than I think that there was a lot to offer, and he has a lot of other things, in his life that he dealt with that I think were factors, whether it's, health of his family and things like that played into first time saying maybe I'm not ready for this move, and then after reassessing it, realizing that this is the opportunity he wants to take advantage of.
What makes a guy like Brandon Johnson coming in at that spot then? Just what's the unique challenge of probably the most difficult position on the defense compared to if Derek Harmon comes in at the tackle at this time?
Yeah, I think that what you said is true. I think that playing nickel in the NFL or playing nickel in college football, star position is the hardest position to really play because you ask that guy to do so many different jobs. What BJ has is a lot of experience in that position, provides a lot of versatility from a blitzability standpoint, coverage standpoint, and he's smart and intentional, and he's working at it. So there's a lot of guys in that room battling right now for that position, but he certainly provides some experience and the ability to pick up things quick. That's what I've been impressed with our guys is how quickly they've been able to assess and execute what we're asking them to do.
He was saying schematically that you guys are quite different than what Elko is running there, but to the layman, how similar, how much carryover, even terminology-wise, is there, or is these just two completely different?
I think we are. We're two different systems for sure. But that being said, there are some stuff that is carryover, and him being the player he is and the intelligence he has, he's able to execute that.
I know it's still early, but someone like Sion, what do you see from him in spring, this offseason, kind of how he's going to
just constant growth from Sione. He's picking it up day by day. You see him start using stuff. We give players tools for their tool belt, right? And we have expectations they can use them in certain times. So he's starting to become that guy now that realizes, okay, I got a certain split from 1 and 2. I'm going to use this tool that I have. And that stuff's starting to show up. That didn't show up in the spring, but it's showing up now.
You brought in a lot of experienced guys in that defensive backfield that are new. Has that already shown their experience? I know it's the first day of camp, but just through the offseason and then today.
Probably too early. I do think that it's clear that we have talent and depth at that position, but probably too early to know how that experience is going to play out in the field.
We saw on social media earlier this week Johnny getting his driver's license, and in that tweet it said that you were a big part of that. I just kind of wanted to ask your experience with that and what that's been like.
I was worried for a while we weren't going to get it. We've been working on it for a while. It's something that, talking to his mom and talking to him in that process, he's a guy that's coming from the middle of Brooklyn where he's riding a train every day, or he's in New York, and it's not convenient necessarily for him to learn how to drive. And that was definitely one of our goals when he got here. So proud that our player personnel staff did a great job. Carl Holmes spent time with Johnny. Johnny took the time to go learn. And I'm glad to see him be able to execute that goal.
It's a good practice for teaching your kids to drive one day.
What's that?
It's a good practice for teaching your kids to drive one day.
Yeah, someday I might have to teach my kids. My oldest is 14, so I guess we're a year away from permits now, so we'll see how that comes.
In the spring, you had split up personnel groups accordingly, kind of mishmashing a bit. As you get started here in camp, when will that transition be to more ones, twos, threes, etc.?
Yeah, we'll assess it as we go through camp. Like right now, I think it's more important that we're getting reps with multiple guys. Same thought process. Like for us, the reason we do that is so we can get a lot of people working with a lot of people, right? And a lot of reps on the field. We did more two-spot work today than we've ever done in a first practice for us in the fall. So what's that mean? Instead of 44 guys getting a rep because the ones and twos are going, we got 88 guys getting the rep, right? So that's really beneficial to us. At some point, yeah, we'll start to break down into more of a ones and twos group, but we're not to that point yet.
You talked about growing the staff and being able to develop coaches. How valuable is that, like in that instance of being able to go to 4 groups at once?
Yeah, we got 130 players, and before we were doing that with 10 coaches, some GAs, and myself. So now having more guys that can be able to be hands-on is really beneficial to us in our development and those coaches' development.
You mentioned the kicking game in an area and special teams to improve. Where do you want to see the return game, particularly on kickoffs? How do you want to see it? Yes, you have a lot of speed on this team, a lot more options, but is it more than just adding somebody alongside Gary? Are there certain guys you want to get the ball and get some reps in these practices?
Yeah, goal number one always on special teams is get the ball back for your offense, right? That's goal number one. We definitely want to create some more dynamic returns, but it's also making a decision to fair catch it where you're not taking negative yardage. So there's a decision-making process. We evaluate our scheme. We're going to do some stuff different schematically as well. And then it's going to be based on the guy that we're going against that can kick it. If he's kicking in the end zone, that's going to change your thought process. But we definitely have more talent that we can use in that room and put back there to create a little bit more of a dynamic return.